Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin and only Bitcoin. Today, if you do like this video and the other videos that I make on this channel, be sure to hit the like button down below and also consider subscribing. Today, we're going to be looking at all the indicators we usually use in regards to Bitcoin. We'll also be looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart. We'll also be flipping back and forth between Bitstamp and the BLX. Because the BLX doesn't show current price, it only shows closes. So um, right now on the BLX it's at 55,995, whereas on Bitstamp it's at 57 $555. So it doesn't account for the extra 3% move for today. However, I think um, with Bitcoin's recent price move of breaking $50,000, we're now flirting with the idea of 60. I kind of want us to take a step back and look at the macro picture. Try to make this as comprehensive a view of the macro perspective of Bitcoin as possible to find out where we are in the market cycle, and also in regards to the market as a whole, the strength of Bitcoin against alts, and its relationship between them, and try to give a forward outlook on the asset. So, first one we want to look at is the distance to the 20-week moving average. So, the 20-week moving average has been instrumental in determining bull markets and bear markets for Bitcoin. Um, just a very brief overview. This white line here you can see is the 20-week moving average. As you can see, we'll start with 2017. You can see that um, it has been treated as support here, 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 and then once we broke out of it, it resulted in a year-long bear market. Moving back, you can see actually instances of it here. Moving back, we also see when it broke the 20-week, it resulted in a very long bear market for Bitcoin. The only instance where it doesn't hold but continues higher is here. However, I would consider this just to be lack of liquidity. This is back in 2013. I definitely wasn't there at that time, but I would attribute this just to being a coincidence. Um, comparing it to the rest of the price history, we see it bounce here, here, to indicate an incoming bull market or to sustain the bull market, and also lastly here where we broke it and resulted in a bear market. Now you can see that the lengths of the bear market are getting longer, I would argue, and the ramp up to a new all-time high is also getting longer. This run up is a lot longer than this run up, and most likely, I would argue, this run up is going to take longer than this one here. Obviously, right now that doesn't seem to be the case, uh, considering Bitcoin's current price, but I will live with it. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not here. I'm not against a fast moving Bitcoin. I just think it's interesting that to look at how far we've come in such short amount of time. So, with that said, the 20-week moving average is instrumental. It's also a good indicator of, uh, you know, how far extended we are. The extension from the 20-week moving average is also important. We could see here, and this also shows something called that I would attribute to diminishing returns. So we see that the peaks are getting lower now, not in terms of dollar value, but from the extension of the 20-week. You could see this was the peak here, peak, peak, peak. Okay, this is 2017, by the way. And currently now we're at a peak here. So um, as you can see visually, they're getting smaller from the distance to the 20-week. Now, again, that doesn't mean dollar value. I obviously know that the dollar value peak of 2017 is a lot higher than in 2013. However, if you take it from the 20-week up, then the move of 2013 was more aggressive and more and pumped more than 2017. So currently, right now, Bitcoin is at a percentage value of 114% above the 20-week moving average right now on the BLX. On Bitstamp, with accounting for today's prices, we're 119% above the 20-week moving average. We're getting pretty far extended. The peak above the 20-week moving average happened in the fourth at 122%, almost 123%. The peak of 2017, 182. And if we accounted for the peak of 2019, uh, which was currently at close was 72%, but if we accounted for the high, because in this case it was just a giant wick, it was I believe like over 100%. So currently, like what we see right now with current metrics accounting for 2019 and 2017 as being the latest peaks, 100 plus percent is getting to the overextension part, where in most cases we would see a turn back. We saw a move something of that similarity here when it went to 106%, it corrected back down. Now, this does not by any means mean that we're correcting down tomorrow. In fact, that we can continue on, and that's entirely possible. I mean, even here at 122%, we corrected, but the week before was 109%, and it didn't correct. It moved up. So take that with a grain of salt. But I think when we look at the entire chart of the BLX and we see that the peaks of the extension of the 20-week moving average is getting smaller and smaller, we have to take into consideration that um, it might not get to an overextension of 100, 180%, like it did in 2017. So anything below that and above 100% is a sign to be cautious, I would argue. Moving forward, um, getting rid of the 20-week moving average, the other indicator that we like to use is the RSI. Now the RSI on any short-term time frame, I don't give much stock, but I really do like the monthly RSI for Bitcoin. So right here, and I'll change the color here so it's a little easier to see. But we see that um, the monthly RSI, whoops, the monthly RSI uh, is proven to be a good indicator of tops, relatively speaking. And let me just flip it back here. Month. There we go. So as you can see, this is the monthly of the BLX. And we see clear tops in 2017 here and in 2013 here. Now, you might be asking, well, this was a top here, but the dollar value went higher. Well, I think this is a good example of why the RSI is a great tool, but doesn't necessarily can provide the absolute top. So we see here, we get these double tops in terms of the RSI. And we look, and obviously the dollar value is a lot different in comparison of each one compared to the other. Um, but it could be a good indication of when Bitcoin's oversold, especially when it's at the high 90s. We see that the RSI is consistently touching the high 90s. Okay, the highest peak, which would be in 2013 at an RSI of 96.96. Now, when we look at the overall bull run, in my opinion, if I was able to sell at the top at 96 RSI and sold not all of it, but a majority stake and was able to sell again here at the RSI top here, I would call myself a happy man. Now, I understand a lot of people might not agree with that and it will try to time the top, but I think with everyone, we have to come to the conclusion that we can't absolutely sell at the top. It's going to be near impossible. But with tools like the RSI, we can get relatively close, right? So if we bought at the accumulation zone and we look at August 2017 and we saw that Bitcoin was at uh you know where did it close at? It's like 47.33, right? And then we bought at a low of like $200. That is an insane move. Um, and you know from there to uh from there to the $20,000, I mean it's a big jump, but I would call that a pretty good move too. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the RSI can help us in determining when the top is near and where we should start uh, more like selling our positions more aggressively if that's if you are trying to time the top. Um, in this case, Bitcoin right now is trading at 91.14 on the RSI on the BLX on Bitstamp. It is at 91.39. We have entered in the 90s territory of the RSI. I'm not saying that it's gonna drop next month, but at this trajectory, we are getting we are getting really close. Okay, we're today's February. Next month in March, we're at 96.59 on the RSI if the roughly if the trend continues. So um, this is something to keep on our radar and is something that is going to be, I think, instrumental in determining when the current top will come in. Now, is 96.59 in March going to be the market cycle top? Probably not. I mean, look at this 2013, for example. We got up to an RSI high of 96.71, then we dropped back down to 69.26, and then we rallied back again to the high 90s. So um, it could not be the market cycle top, I don't think. But when we take into consideration of RSI, it could be an indication of this is probably a good time to sell on the monthly RSI, and potentially, okay, because it's not given, but potentially um, reload back down here or in this temporary accumulation, which could happen where Bitcoin just moves slightly down or moves sideways. If it moves sideways, the RSI goes down. So that's something to take into consideration. Another thing to take into consideration is the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is a good indicator on not necessarily on Bitcoin's price, but Bitcoin's price in relation to altcoins and the rest of the market. We talk about this chart a lot. I look at it at least every week on the weekly scale to see where we are in relation to altcoins. And right now we are in a downtrend. I would still say we're in some kind of downtrend. That downtrend has obviously subsided a little bit. It wasn't as drastic as it was in January, but we're still ultimately trending down. What is interesting, however, is the not the 20-week moving average, but the 140-week moving average. This average moving average has some relevance that dates back to 2019. We see that it acted as resistance prior to Bitcoin dominance breaking through it. The 70-ish band percent dominance line has also acted as resistance for Bitcoin dominance, as we saw in the 3 times it has made contact with it. But the 140-week moving average has also been acting as support, as we can see here, and currently where we are right now. So if and this is where we get to the outlook here. If Bitcoin continues to move up, okay, if it continues to rally, like this, and we see the RSI continue to go up, then we will see Bitcoin dominance drop. Sorry, go continue to go up, and and this will show that the 20-week moving average, sorry, the 140-week moving average has acted as support a second time, and we will see this figure go up. However, if Bitcoin consolidates, um, or even starts to bleed a little bit, but ultimately remains bullish, then we could see Bitcoin dominance break through this support and continue down. Another possibility, and this is another I think potential move, is Bitcoin can continue to go up. Okay, Bitcoin can continue to go up, and then we hit 70% again, come back down. But the 140-week moving average is a lagging indicator, and it's right now trending up. So this could be a giant consolidation period, and then at some point we break out. Okay, that's a long-term outlook right now. That could be very well what's happening right now, where we see support being given here on the 140-week moving average, and then resistance being hit at 70% Bitcoin dominance. This is an entirely possible idea that could happen, and with that said, um, Bitcoin can Bitcoin and altcoin relationships can pump and fall, which would result in this consolidation factor. Right now, it seems like Bitcoin is having the upper hand because it has broken $50,000. If it continues to go up, another $10,000, we're going to see this dominance start to reverse. Uh, but I can't see a scenario where Bitcoin dominance does kind of wind in this ascending triangle, I guess you could say. Um, I guess you could say that. It kind of looks like that, just a little. But I think ultimately, as it always has, uh, um, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, but ultimately, I think altcoins will in the end outpace Bitcoin. Um, and because of that, I think uh, Bitcoin dominance will drop at some point. Now, it's already been dropping, and you can argue, and I would argue that altcoin season is here. The question is it going to go any further down? And I believe to some degree that we will see drops like what we saw in the last cycle. We'll see something similar, and I think the 140-week moving average is going to play a part in that. It's going to be the support that breaks, and that's when it's going to drop. But for now, we're currently monitoring the situation with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at $57,000, and we're very close to 60. It's actually not that far. Um, another day of like 4% price action will get us to $60,000 basically. So keep that in mind. Um, keep in mind if keep an eye on the RSI. If it keeps on rising like this, then we will see Bitcoin get closer and closer to the high 90s, and that's when and that is when we see some form of pause, like what we saw in 2013. I mean, it looks like a pause because it really looks like it's just moving sideways, but it really isn't. The drop from the wick down to the like from wick to wick, it's a 75% drop. Right, so it's not, you can't really say it was a sideways moving action. because it was a pretty stark drop, but um, it did indicate a drop in the RSI. Anyway, that's all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.